In the brutal, high-stakes chess match of the Cold War, the most important piece on the board was the ballistic missile submarine. It was the ultimate guarantor of national survival, a weapon of last resort hidden in the silent darkness of the deep. For the Soviet Union, whose geography often constrained its surface fleet, the submarine-based nuclear deterrent was paramount. But by the 1970s, this deterrent was facing a profound and terrifying crisis. The United States and its NATO allies were achieving acoustic supremacy in the undersea domain. Their advanced SOSUS listening networks could monitor vast swathes of the Atlantic, and their new generations of ultra-quiet hunter-killer submarines were becoming increasingly effective at a chilling mission, tracking every Soviet boomer from the moment it left port. The existing Soviet Yankee and Delta-class submarines, to reach their targets in America, had to traverse these dangerous NATO-controlled waters. They were being forced to fight on the enemy's terms, in a game they were increasingly likely to lose. This was not a tactical problem. It was a strategic nightmare that threatened to unravel the entire doctrine of mutually assured destruction. If the Soviet Union could not guarantee the survivability of its sea-based deterrent, then the nuclear balance of power would be irrevocably broken. A successful American first strike, which could decapitate the Soviet land-based command and control, would go unanswered. The final apocalyptic guarantee of retaliation was becoming uncertain. The Soviet Politburo and Naval High Command were obsessed.
An undersea fortress
they needed more than just a quieter submarine. They needed a weapons system so powerful, so resilient, and so well protected that its ability to launch a devastating retaliatory strike was beyond any shadow of a doubt. They needed an undersea fortress, a mobile missile field that did not need to run the gauntlet of the Guyuk Gap. They needed a ship that could hide under the impenetrable shield of the Arctic ice cap itself, and still hold the entire Western world hostage. They needed a weapon so terrifying, it would ensure the stalemate, a Doomsday Leviathan. The Soviet response was not an evolution. It was an act of sheer brute force will. It was Project 941 Akula, or Shark, known to the West by its NATO reporting name, the Typhoon class. This was not just a new submarine. It was a fundamental reimagining of what a submarine could be. It would be, by a huge margin, the largest submarine ever built by humankind. The Typhoon's design was a direct answer to the crisis, a masterpiece of survivability. First, the fortress. Instead of a single pressure hull, the Typhoon had a unique multi-hulled design. Inside its light outer hull were two massive parallel main pressure hulls, each a fully independent submarine in its own right. A third, smaller pressure hull contained the command center and torpedo room, and two more housed the escape pods. This created a vessel of unprecedented internal volume and incredible reserve buoyancy, allowing it to absorb damage that would destroy any other submarine. Second, the Arctic Dominion. This immense size and strength gave it another critical capability, the ability to surface directly through the thick polar ice cap to launch its missiles, a feat no other submarine could reliably perform. Third, the Doomsday Arsenal. The Typhoon was armed with a brand new, terrifying weapon system. She carried 20 R-39 RIF, or SSN-20 Sturgeon, solid-fueled ballistic missiles. These were colossal weapons, the heaviest SLBMs ever deployed, each capable of carrying 10 independently targetable nuclear warheads. A single Typhoon submarine carried 200 nuclear warheads, enough firepower to obliterate any nation on Earth. The Typhoon was the ultimate second strike weapon, a silent, indestructible fortress designed to patrol under the Arctic ice, survive a nuclear first strike, and guarantee the absolute annihilation of the enemy in return. The proof of the Typhoon's terrifying power was in its very existence. The 6 ships of this class became the absolute crown jewels of the Soviet Navy, the most visible and intimidating symbols of its strategic might. Deployed to the Northern Fleet, they became the apex predators of the new Bastion strategy. They did not need to venture into the Atlantic. They could remain hidden in the Barents Sea or under the polar ice, protected by the full defensive screen of the Soviet fleet, and still hold every major city in the Northern Hemisphere at risk. Their presence created a new, terrifying stalemate under the ice. They were too large, too tough, and operated in an environment too hostile for NATO anti-submarine forces to hunt them with any degree of certainty. They had successfully checkmated the West's acoustic superiority through sheer brute force engineering and a brilliant strategic shift. But the story of the Typhoon is also the story of its own colossal scale. These were the most expensive and resource-intensive military projects the Soviet Union had ever undertaken. When the Soviet Union collapsed, so too did the ability to maintain these Leviathans. The very size and power that made them so formidable in the Cold War made them an unaffordable luxury in the new Russian Federation. One by one, the mighty Typhoons were retired, a victim of arms control treaties and economic reality. Only one, the lead ship, Dmitry Donskoy, was kept in service, a living legend. In a final, vital mission, she was converted to become the primary test platform for Russia's new, modern Bulava missile, the weapon that would arm her successor, the Beret class. The last Titan became the indispensable bridge to the future. The legacy of the Typhoon class is one of almost mythical power. They were the ultimate expression of the logic of the Cold War, a weapon system so vast and destructive that it bent the laws of engineering and economics to its will. They were a testament to a nation's absolute determination to guarantee its survival, no matter the cost. They are more than just submarines. They are monuments. They are a powerful, chilling reminder of how close the world came to the apocalypse, and the terrifying lengths to which superpowers would go to prevent it. In the entire history of naval warfare, there has never been anything like the Typhoon, and there will likely never be again. The Typhoon class was the Leviathan from the deep, the ghost of the apocalypse. Its story is a powerful lesson in the brutal calculus of nuclear deterrence and the incredible feats of engineering it inspired. They were the largest, most destructive, and perhaps the most awe-inspiring submarines ever to prowl the oceans. They were the Doomsday Leviathans. Share this video to explore the fascinating, terrifying, and unforgettable story of the Typhoon class, the largest submarine in history.